For thousands of years, people have looked up at the moon with wonder. Now we're not just looking, we're planning to go there and stay. NASA wants to send people back to the moon by 2025 with their Artemis program. Private companies are also joining the race to space. This isn't just about leaving a footprint there anymore. We're talking about building homes, doing amazing science, and using the moon as a starting point for even bigger space adventures. Could the moon really become our second home? Let's dive in and find out. It's 2024 and moon fever is back. NASA's Artemis program is moving full steam ahead. They've already done a test flight without people, and now they're getting ready for the real deal, sending astronauts. NASA isn't working alone. They're teaming up with other countries and private companies to build everything we'll need on the moon, like houses, power systems, and ways to get back to Earth, and ways to talk back to Earth. Private companies are also jumping in. SpaceX is working on a huge rocket called Starship that NASA wants to use to land people on the moon. Blue Origin, owned by Amazon's Jeff Bezos, is making its own moon lander. Other companies are planning to send science stuff to the moon soon. It's not just the US either. China has been busy with its moon program. Europe, Japan, India, and other countries are planning moon missions too. It's like a friendly global moon party. The tech for moon exploration is getting better all the time. NASA's figuring out better ways to get there, protect people from space radiation, and keep them alive in harsh environments. One of the most incredible things scientists are working on is learning to use stuff we find on the moon, like turning moon dirt into building materials, or moon ice into drinking water and rocket fuel. This could save a ton of money because we wouldn't need to bring anything from Earth. Living on the moon sounds cool, but it's also challenging. First, we need to solve some big problems. First up is radiation. Earth's magnetic field and atmosphere protect us from harmful space rays. The moon doesn't have this, so we must figure out how to shield people and their homes from this dangerous radiation. Then there's the moon dust. It's not like beach sand, it's sharp and gets everywhere. If people breathe it in, it can damage machines and even hurt their lungs. Engineers are working hard to keep this pesky dust out of moon homes and equipment. The moon's temperature is crazy too. During the day, it can get super hot, hotter than boiling water. At night, it gets colder than anything on Earth. We need to build homes that can handle these extreme changes. Another problem is that the moon has no air. This means that there's nothing to protect us against tiny space rocks that constantly hit the moon. Living on the moon could also be tough on people's minds. Being far from home, in a small space, with the same few people for a long time can be stressful. Scientists are thinking about ways to keep moon explorers happy and healthy. Despite all these challenges, smart people worldwide are coming up with solutions. They're inventing new materials to block radiation, creating systems to recycle air and water, and thinking of ways to make moon life as comfy as possible. Let's take a quick look at the space and moon themed items from GUI Gestures before we go on with this video. If you really like space, you can find some great stuff here to show off your interest in the cosmos. The link is in the description below. Take a look at these cool space accessories. Alright, now let's get back to the video. The idea of living on the moon has advanced greatly since the Apollo missions. Now we're considering building places where people can live and work for long periods. NASA has plans for a base camp that could house 4 to 6 astronauts at a time. One cool idea is to use inflatable buildings. These can be packed small for the trip to the moon and blown up like balloons once they're there, saving space on the rocket. Some companies are already testing these inflatable moon houses. Another exciting idea is 3D printing buildings on the moon. The European Space Agency is investigating using moon dirt as ink for giant 3D printers. This would allow us to build homes without having to bring all the materials from Earth. Power is super important too. Solar panels are an obvious choice, but remember those long moon nights? Well, we need ways to store energy or other power sources when the sun isn't shining. NASA is even thinking about using small nuclear reactors on the moon. Water will be like gold on the moon. We need it to drink, but it can also be turned into rocket fuel. Scientists have found ice at the moon's poles, and they're figuring out how to get it out and clean it. We'll also need moon internet. NASA's working on setting up a communication network around the moon, similar to the GPS that we use on Earth. This will help moon explorers talk to each other and people back on Earth. With all these plans and ideas, many experts think that we could have people living on the moon within the next 20 years or so. It's an exciting time for space exploration. Having a moon base isn't just about saying we did it. There's a ton of amazing science we can do there. The moon is a great place for astronomy. Without an atmosphere, telescopes on the moon could see things in space more clearly than ever. The far side of the moon, which always faces away from Earth, could be perfect for listening to faint radio signals from the early universe. Geologists are excited too. Studying moon rocks up close could teach us much about how the moon, Earth, and our solar system formed. The moon's low gravity is also great for science experiments that we can't do on Earth. But it's not all about science. Money could be made on the moon too. A special kind of fuel called helium-3 is rare on Earth, but more common on the moon. If we figure out how to use it in fusion reactors, it could be super valuable. Some people even talk about putting solar panels on the moon and beaming the energy back to Earth. It sounds like sci-fi, but it could be a clean, constant power source in the future. And remember tourism. Right now, only the super rich can go to space. But as we build more stuff on the moon, regular people might be able to visit someday. Imagine taking a vacation to the moon. All the incredible technology we invented to live on the moon could also help us back on Earth. While living on the moon is a big deal, many see it as a first step. Many space explorers dream of sending humans to Mars, and the moon can help us prepare for that. Living on the moon will let us practice everything we'll need to survive on Mars, but closer to home. We can test our space homes, figure out how to make air and water last a long time, and see how people live in a place that's not Earth. The moon could also be like a gas station for ships going to Mars. If we can make rocket fuel from moon ice, spaceships could fill up there instead of carrying all their fuel from Earth. This would make trips to Mars much easier and cheaper. The moon's low gravity is helpful too. It's easier to launch giant spaceships from the moon than from Earth. We might build Mars ships on the moon and launch them from there. Living on the moon will also help us understand how people cope with being far from home for a long time. A trip to Mars could take months, so we need to know how to keep astronauts healthy and happy on long space journeys. All the things that we learned from going to the moon will help us explore even further into the future, whether it's visiting asteroids, checking out Jupiter's moons, or even dreaming about going to other stars someday. Our moon adventures will teach us lessons that will be useful for a long time to come. We're at the start of an exciting new chapter in space exploration. The moon, our closest neighbor in space, is the star of the show. From building the first moon homes to doing groundbreaking science, finding new resources, and preparing for trips to Mars, the moon offers many possibilities. Yes, there are big challenges. Living on the moon won't be easy, but humans are clever and determined. Throughout history, we've done things that once seemed impossible. We can overcome obstacles with hard work, new ideas, and cooperation from countries. In the coming years, we'll see huge progress in moon exploration. While the moon probably won't become a second Earth with millions of people anytime soon, it will play an important role in humanity's journey into space. As we look up at the moon, we're no longer seeing a pretty light in the sky. We're seeing the first step in humanity's greatest adventure. The moon, once so far away, is about to become our gateway to the stars. It's an exciting time to be alive, and who knows, you can look up at the Earth from your home on the moon. Here ends today's exploration of lunar exploration and habitation. If you enjoyed this glimpse into our potential life on the moon, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more mind-expanding content about space, science, and the wonders of our universe. Until next time, stay tuned.